Com as instalações de treinamento no campus da Vaughan, a LiUNA local 183, que representa mais de 70 mil membros em todo o GTA, promove formação profissional para os trabalhadores do setor da construção, profissionais que são fundamentais para a construção das várias comunidades, a necessária infraestrutura crítica e fazer a adaptação de tecnologias inovadoras e energicamente eficientes. O Centro de Treinamento da LiUNA 183 possui instalações modernas e estrutura de alta tecnologia para que os aprendizes possam ser preparados da melhor maneira possível para um mercado de trabalho cada vez mais exigente. Para divulgar esta importante função no setor da construção civil, como acontece todos os anos, o Centro de Formação da LiUNA Local 183 organizou o evento anual de sensibilização para a indústria no dia 23 de agosto, no seu campus de Vaughan. Estiveram presentes no evento os delegados do sindicato LiUNA, bem como os seus parceiros de gestão, a vice-presidente da Câmara de Toronto, Jennifer McKelvey, e Francisco Sorbara, deputado federal por Vaughan Woodbridge, também compareceram. Sandro Pinto, diretor executivo da LiUNA 183 Training Center, começou por agradecer a presença de todos e deu início à apresentação do Conselho Local, cuja direção foi eleita por unanimidade para um quarto mandato. O diretor executivo declarou o privilégio de trabalhar pessoalmente com cada um deles numa série de iniciativas.
From the Training Center's perspective, the 7 e-board members, I've personally had the privilege of working with each of them a number of times on a number of initiatives. I've been, at all of the campuses. We've done so much work together. They are the leaders of the local. They continue to be the leaders of the local. They keep the local together. They work with all of the other LiUNA locals and Joe's office there in Hamilton. And we're excited to have them here. So as I call them up, I'm going to call them up each individually. If you could please come up to the stage.
Jack Oliveira, Business Manager da LiUNA 183, fez uma especial homenagem aos membros já reformados, considerando de extrema importância o seu contributo na formação e desenvolvimento do sindicato.
And brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, government officials, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for our retirees. They had a great idea in 1952. 400 hydro workers decided to create a union led by our brother Jerry Gallagher. God rest his soul. I'm sure he's here, with us in spirit. I often have talks with some of these retirees, because I myself, I'm not getting any younger, and I worked with a lot of these individuals when I was a young buck. And they share the stories with me how they would get that extra 50 cents in the early 60s to make sure that the union didn't close doors. And because of their sacrifices, we are where we are today. Yes, today we have everything, but let's never forget where we came from. So please stand and give it up for our retirees. They're here. Let's get them recognized.
Joe Mancinelli, vice-presidente internacional da LiUNA e diretor canadiano, não pôde deixar de felicitar todo o corpo da direção, e em especial pelo trabalho efetuado pelo Centro de Formação na preparação de novas gerações de trabalhadores em Ontário.
I want to take the opportunity first and foremost to congratulate Jack Oliveira, this dynamic executive board that just got re-elected recently, that is doing such a great job for the members of LiUNA and, quite frankly, contributing in such a significant way to our industry right across Ontario, and in particular, especially here in the GTA. So Jack, congratulations, you and your team, for the great work that you're doing. I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate Sandro and his team and his staff and all of those who work at this training center and contributed in such a significant way in supplying us with a new generation of workers here in Ontario. So continue the great job, Sandro and your team, for all the great work that you're doing. And thirdly, I want to congratulate the honorees, the students that are going to be awarded here today that have finished some of our programs, and others who are going to be awarded here today. It is so important that we continue the training in this facility and in other training centers right across Canada. We have a gigantic shortage of workers. In Ontario in particular, we've got a shortage in British Columbia as well. And we have been working hard with the federal government to ensure that we bring in a new supply of immigrants into Canada. Immigrants, however, that want to do construction. And we've been working very closely with previous Minister of Immigration, Sean Fraser, and now with Minister Miller, in order to get a new program in place to get thousands of workers into Canada that are conducive to doing work in the construction industry. LiUNA alone, our organization alone, in Ontario alone, is short anywhere between 20 and 25,000 workers that we could put to work yesterday morning. And that's how great the shortage is just within our organization. So that highlights the importance of training centers such as this in order to train and retrain so many of the new immigrants that are coming in, but so many young people, Indigenous people, women in the construction industry. And so I want to congratulate all of you that are participating, our politicians from different levels of government, our contractors that are here, the associations that we deal with, that are all partnering with us to solve this very serious problem of shortages in the construction industry. I have to tell you that it is a big problem, but it's a problem that we are going to face and resolve together. And it's a hell of a lot better problem than the one we had in the early 80s when we didn't have the work, or the early 90s as well. So I'm sure with everybody working together as a team, and we do have a great team here in this room, whether it be with our contractors, our associations, our politicians that are here, I have great confidence in the team that we have here that we're going to resolve all these issues. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to conclude by saying great to see all of you here. Have a great time, and I look forward to speaking to a number of you throughout the afternoon. Thank you.
Francisco Sorbara, deputado federal por Vaughan Woodbridge, reconheceu as parcerias formadas pelo sindicato e a importância de cada dos membros no trabalho realizado e, ainda, por realizar.
That when you think about partnership, that is better than LiUNA and all its locals. Whether it's a partnership with schools, and I was chatting with the individual from TDSB today, where there's a partnership with government, at whatever level of government and whatever stripe of government. And then the partnership with its contractors. And you think about partnerships, you may not always agree on the issues, you may have different viewpoints, but you go in there with respect, you go in and you say, this is what we need to be successful. Why? Because we know, and I know, that if Ontario is successful, that if Vaughan is successful, that if Canada is successful, it's because LiUNA, backed by its members, backed by its retirees, they've been successful. So I want to say thank you to the Executive Award 183, to Sandro, Jack and Joe. Thank you for always being so kind and hospitable to me. It's wonderful to be here as always. It's just really nice to be here. And thank you to everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon. And thank you for everyone for what you do day in, day out. Thank you.
Jennifer McKelvey, vice-presidente da Câmara Municipal de Toronto, mostrou-se honrada em participar do evento e agradeceu pelo empenho e compromisso demonstrado em cada dia pelos membros da LiUNA.
You've heard in the news recently, housing availability and affordability are the two biggest challenges we are facing as Torontonians and as Canadians. But we cannot begin to address these issues, let alone solve them, without recognizing that skilled labor is the foundation of our building sector. We need a highly trained and skilled workforce to build the infrastructure we need to support our Toronto pledge of 285,000 new homes by 2031. In short, we can't solve the housing crisis without you, without LiUNA. This training center and the innovations within, including the tunnel rescue training facility, are just a few examples of the forward-thinking solutions that our construction trades will use to continue to build our communities. Your dedication and your tireless efforts have not gone unnoticed, and I'm truly grateful. Toronto is truly grateful for your hard work.
O evento foi também palco da entrega de prémios de reconhecimento pelo trabalho árduo dos aprendizes. Shaina Van Hem foi uma das premiadas como a aprendiz do ano.
I was going to do nursing and then I didn't want to go to school for it, so I came and I did the training with the union instead, and here I am.
Irie Chung também foi agraciado pelo seu empenho, tendo ganho igualmente o prémio de aprendiz do ano.
I kind of have being a crane operator in mind later in the future, but for now just learn my way up the ladder and do what I'm doing for now.
Joe Decaria, um administrador da LiUNA local 183, prestes a reformar-se, foi também homenageado, segundo Jack Oliveira, não apenas pelo seu trabalho, mas também por toda a experiência transmitida aos administradores que lhe sucederam.
Jack, your words were humbling more than anything else, but well appreciated. Thank you again.
Jack Oliveira, em entrevista à CMC TV, fez o apelo à inscrição de novos membros no centro de formação, realçando a necessidade de criar uma força de trabalho especializada para o futuro.
Acho que a gente todos aqui que temos uma função, é criar aquela força de trabalhador nova para o futuro, e acho que não é só um indivíduo, que é um grupo enorme de pessoas, que vocês hoje têm a oportunidade de vir aqui, e acho que estamos num bom caminho. E acho que estamos todos a trabalhar juntos, e quando todos trabalham juntos há sempre sucesso no fim. E acho que isto que é mais uma maneira de ver isso, e acho que vamos dar continuação a isto, que é muito importante. Temos muitas pessoas a pensionar-se e precisamos de sangue novo aqui para esta organização. E espero que quem me está a ouvir, que se realmente tem uma pessoa lá fora, um amigo, um filho, que não esteja interessado em continuar outras funções, a LiUNA tem sempre as portas abertas aqui para lhe dar formação aqui na Escola de Formação e pô-los a trabalhar.
Joe Mancinelli afirmou a necessidade de contratar mais trabalhadores para a construção, tendo em conta que aceitar novos imigrantes é essencial.
It's making sure two things happen. Number one, that we don't deport anybody anymore, and we make sure that those who were deported have a way of coming back, right? And so we're working very closely with the government to make sure that happens. Plus, those who are here and are overstayers, and there's many, and we've put 2,000 through the program that we started with the Canadian Labour Congress, that if you're an overstayer, that means someone who didn't fill out the right paperwork. Kind of silly that we're deporting people because they didn't fill out the right paperwork. So that program is working very well. We put 2,000 people through it again. The government now has reinitiated the program with another 1,000 workers. We want it to be a permanent program, not a pilot project or whatever. And so I'm sure that that's happening. What else do we need to do? We need to open our doors, our immigration doors to the world, and say, bring in people who are conducive to doing the work in construction. So right now, we don't have that. Right now, people that can come into Canada are people that have money, people who have high-tech skills, people who can speak English and French. When my parents came in 1951, 1952, they didn't speak French or English. So that's kind of a silly rule in itself. We need to get rid of that. We need to make those kind of changes so anybody can come in. They'll learn English when they come. But let's bring them in and ask them two questions. Do you want to work in construction? Yes, big check mark. Do you have experience in construction? Then you get two check marks. So if we do those kind of simple changes, I think you're going to see a lot of immigrants coming to this country because this is a great country.